connection. Bounce it off the
I
walls.
want to talk to everyone today.
Right, you got some acoustic whatever going on
I'm
there.
including the left and the right. You
Right.
Peace.
So hey everybody, welcome to Nerd Street. I am Brent. I'm here with my main man, the myth, the legend,
Nintendo.
And we're excited about today's episode. There's been some, we watched a video recently that talks about upcoming news with the Terminator. So let's jump right into there.
Alright guys, big news for me and a lot of sci-fi fans out there. I grew up with the Terminator. Love Terminator 2. I think it's one of the best sci-fi movies I've ever seen. They're bringing Arnold Schwarzenegger back for a new Terminator. They're going to pretend that every Terminator after 2 never existed.
Right, so that's Salvation with Christian Bale and Genesis with other people.
What was his name that was in
Avatar. Avatar.
Yeah,
he was
the main actor in Avatar, besides Sigourney Weaver.
Really, he was that?
He was
in Genesis, was he?
Yeah, yep, he was in Terminator in it.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah. What was his? I don't. One of the Terminators we're talking
Sam
about.
Worthington.
Sam Worthington.
Okay.
For sure.
I don't remember.
It'll make sense when you go back and look at like, oh yeah, that's Sam Worthington. I thought it was a good choice for a Terminator, but then when I saw the movie, he was flat. Very bland.
Yeah, that last Terminator Genesis I thought was. I mean, I like Amelia Clark, who played Linda Hamilton, Sarah Connors.
Yeah.
But overall, the movie didn't do much for me, and I thought that the plot got convoluted. But anyway, this isn't about Terminator Genesis. This is about the
new
future.
Terminator, the future, like all Terminators. No, I think that James Cameron feels like you do about those sequels, so that's why he's pretending that they didn't exist, and we'll start right fresh from 2. I watched a video that I sent to Brent about Tim Miller.
Yeah, Tim Miller, and it was them doing a panel for, I think, Hollywood Reporter or something.
It was at Paramount Studios.
At Paramount Studios. I will put a link to that video below. It's like a 45-minute video, so it's kind of meaty, but it's great. So if you want to know more about what we're talking about here, watch that video, but go on.
Yeah, so it consisted of Miller, who made the Deadpool movies.
He made the first one, and
That's
started the second one until Ryan Reynolds got him fired.
I want to know more about that. We'll talk about that later. It seems as if James Cameron is very, very happy and confident in Tim Miller's work and what he can do for the Terminator series. In this interview we saw, you can see them feeding off each other, very comfortable with each other. They've gotten close. The reason I sent it to Brent or brought it to his attention, I have never seen directors talk about important meaningful or high money-making franchises. I've never seen them talk about making a sequel to something so big and looking and sounding so confident about the work to the point where they have me thinking that there's no way this can fail. I do fall for a lot of directors' BS, but this is different. At one point during this interview, Miller starts crying. He starts tearing up and crying and can't even talk. For a little bit because he's thinking about how deep and meaningful the work him and his team that he took from Deadpool 1 and the work that they've now accomplished so far in the new Terminator has brought him to tears. It's obviously a labor of love, and it's obviously going to be something quite good, I hope.
Yeah.
So the point is I hope I'm not duped, but you can look at these guys and feel pretty confident like the next Terminator is going to rock. Like, you just feel that. I'm going to let you take it away, and then we can maybe talk about that picture they released.
Sure. It's interesting. They're talking about doing 3 movies. And it's weird. That seems like the thing in Hollywood. Okay, we're going to do 3 movies of this, 3 movies of this. We're going to do this series. And we really need to see how, you talk about there's no way this could fail. How it does in the box office is probably going to dictate whether we see the second and third one. And a lot of that is not only the function of, this is Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger, everything like that, but it's also a function of how well the studio promotes it. Because there's a lot of movies out there that didn't do well in the box office, and part of it is probably just because of promotion.
You're absolutely right. I never agreed / understood that whole section of films. I don't need to see a single trailer. You just got to tell me something's coming out and make sure you tell me the date, and that's all I need. Okay? When we're talking about already big established franchises, to me, I've always wondered, why would we need to market the Terminator when the whole fucking world knows who the Terminator is? That's where I'm coming from. You're absolutely right. That's the biggest part of the business. That is the most important part of the business to all these men in suits that work in Hollywood. How do we throw this on every commercial, on every cup, on every food wrapper? I get that. But for a guy like me, if you think that shit works even 1%, you're out of your mind. Your trailers are basically show the whole movie, or they show nothing and they don't even use that trailer shot in the actual film you see.
Right.
And we're getting recycled and rehashes of comic book films and old films, sci-fi films we grew up with. I don't need to see a single commercial for this Terminator movie. I just know that Terminator's coming out, they're continuing the story, and Arnold Schwarzenegger's back. I don't see why there's anything else to go crazy about. But I know that the new millennials and the new people into it have to have that to get interested.
Well, see, I disagree with you in that. I mean, if promotion is done right, for instance, in the lead up to Avengers Infinity War, every time I saw that commercial, I was like, man, I can't wait for this. It got me more excited about it.
Okay.
Also, you know, you're talking about readily established franchises.
Yeah.
Now, if you didn't see this interview that we watched, and you just heard about, oh, another Terminator movie, you're going to think back to Terminator Genesis and be like, oh, same shit, different day.
That's kind of true. Terminator is one of those things where I did go to both those sequels at the movies, including the Genesis was after 3?
Yeah, 3 was Salvation with Christian Bale.
So after that, I didn't like that movie, and I still went to the next Terminator, knowing the last one stunk, and I'm going to go to this one too. But you are absolutely right. I would not be, you got me, I would not be this excited about a new Terminator if I did not watch that video of the directors talking about their work.
I mean, I could see...
But that does that count as marketing? What they did and what I watched.
Well, what they
Nothing
did...
will get me more excited than that.
Right, well, that is marketing, yes.
Okay,
But the majority of people that are going to see this Terminator movie will not have seen this interview.
Gotcha.
And so I can just see now, like, in the interview, they said they're getting ready to start principal filming, like, this week or whatever.
Yeah,
so figure time and whatever. I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe Super Bowl. Let's say the Super Bowl. I don't know how long it takes.
They'll probably get a trailer then.
You know, so you're watching the Super Bowl, it fades to black, all of a sudden you see like a red light, and you see, I'll be back, and you see Arnold, and then you see something with Linda Hamilton, you'll be like, holy crap!
Yeah, you'd be like, dude, this is happening. Yeah, you're
whereas
right.
without a trailer,
that wouldn't hit you that way.
yeah, so,
You're right.
I'm a marketing guy, so that's...
Absolutely, I get it. But like I said, all someone would have to do was write her name on a piece of paper, and it would get me just as excited.
Sure.
That's just how I am, you know? Like, not gonna... Star Wars, for instance, I don't need to see the Episode 9 trailer. I'm gonna go see it. I really don't need to see the trailer because it's so established. But these days, there's a lot of reboots, and kids don't even know that it used to be a thing. So
right.
We have to, exactly.
So, another interesting thing that they talk about this, and they're talking about the, you know, now it's 20, 30 years later since the original Terminator movies, and science and technology is very different. And back when AI was just science fiction, they talk about how today it's science. And
the Terminator, all the artificial intelligence and how they behave came to be is exactly on the forefront of what's happening today. It's basically there.
Yeah, I mean, we've got chess-playing computers. We've got the whole thing.
We got smartphones.
We got smartphones. We've got the thing that Google is doing. I think it was Google, not Amazon, where Google can make a phone call for you and make restaurant reservations and stuff, and talk like a real person.
Wow.
Yeah, you didn't hear about that?
I haven't heard about that.
They showed it, they premiered it like a couple months ago at some tech conference, and they showed how the guy said, Google, call so-and-so restaurant and make me a reservation. And then they had the AI call an actual restaurant and talk to the person.
Well, what do you do? What do I do if It's a real special girl that I'm taking out, and I want to argue with the guy on the phone for a better table. Can the Google robot do that?
I don't know.
Just kidding. But that's amazing. See, that's something that I didn't think about, but of course it's happening. You know what I mean? Of course. Why would you have to pick up and call someone now, right?
Right. You know.
It's scary. It's scary times, though.
And what they talk about in the you know, the whole thing about AI and whatever, say, well, what are the main uses for an AI, or what can you see them? Well, for business, you can teach an AI what your business goals, and you're teaching something smarter than humans about greed.
Yeah.
Or for defense, in which case you're teaching something smarter than humans about war.
War and killing. And,
what could possibly go wrong?
They already showed us. It's called the Terminator.
Right. Yeah. What could possibly go wrong? Called the T-1000.
Right. What could possibly go wrong? Arnold kicks through the door. Man.
So
but it's super exciting. How do you feel about all this? About having a new Terminator yourself?
I'm cautiously optimistic. I mean, I didn't think, if you were to tell me, hey, they're making a new Terminator movie, I would be like, they don't really need to make a new Terminator movie. That's not something that's calling out to be made.
But
I
think that's a lot of shit these days.
Well, you're absolutely right.
Almost everything doesn't need to be made, but they're pushing.
These days, it's nothing but sequels and reboots.
Sequels and reboots. How do we get there?
There's nothing original or what. It's a sequel or reboot is safe.
It's safe. No one could come up with original idea.
Right.
They can't.
But listening to James Cameron and Tim Miller talk about this, I mean, I'm cautiously optimistic. James Cameron doesn't need a paycheck.
No.
He also doesn't need more work because he's currently working on 3 more Avatar movies.
Yeah, he was breaking up his work into this during the week, this on the weekends,
right,
and something else at night, or something like that.
And so he's obviously doing this for a labor of love.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's handing the reins over to Tim Miller, who's had 1 successful movie, and he's this confident, makes me cautiously optimistic. Now, it could go south. It could, just like with the whole Last Jedi Rian Johnson thing. But I'm looking forward to it. Hearing them talk about it, and they're talking about how it's going to be cutting edge. I'm definitely going to see this movie.
Oh yeah. You know what I also liked hearing from Tim Miller in that discussion was the writers and how they're handling the transfer of what we know into what's going on now. And they said they're handling it wonderfully and everything's gonna make sense. They've even come up with a way to explain the aging of Arnold Schwarzenegger. They said they sat down and wrote something that made sense, and he said one word and it made sense already. All he said was, think about it like this. Arnold's human side, the aesthetic, is Borg, out of the cyborg that are that's organic. So it's gonna age regardless, okay? And the cybernetics is all hardware. It can't age. So they're already with that word making me rethink and rediscover the word cyborg. Already has so much in there. They're smart about this. I can feel it. This is gonna be the comeback of the Terminator brand. I hope so.
Linda Hamilton didn't want to come back after 2.
Explain that.
And so for her to be coming back for this, that says a lot.
Big. She seems like the person that she doesn't want to do shit unless it's worth it.
Right. She hasn't really done anything since Terminator 1 and 2. Now what I'm looking forward to seeing is, this is an action movie. And Arnold Schwarzenegger is 71 years old.
Oh, I know. Wow.
But I'm sure he's still, he's not going to be doing all the crazy shit he did in the first 2.
But
I'm sure he's still going to be in the thick of things.
He's still going to break someone's arm or something.
I'm not sure how much of it is going to be him and how much they're going to use CGI.
Yeah.
Because they can do CGI now to make real people.
Oh, yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see.
Man.
Yeah.
He looks good.
So, but, this is going to be good. And like I said, since they're just starting filming this week, I would guess we're probably looking at the earliest winter of 2019 and probably actually looking more early to mid 2020 for this.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I just hope they take their time. I never look too much into release dates, and I hope they're very far away. I know people can't wait, but the longer, we have to wait, means you spent more time to perfect and work out the kinks, especially in editing,
Yeah.
Everything gets smoothed out and you get a product that's worth the wait.
Yeah. You wanted to talk about a still photo.
Yeah, okay. So after we heard all this great, talk from James Cameron and Tim Miller, which all sounded great. I believe them. They're acting, they're acting like they're backing up what they're saying while they're saying it, which goes a long way for me. There was a still released of the production, and all it was a picture of a really tall woman in the middle, kind of big and buffed out. She reminded me of what's the woman's name that plays Phasma? Gwendolyn Christie.
Gwendolyn Christie.
Gwendolyn Christie. Okay, so she looks like Gwendolyn Christie. It's not her, but it's reminiscent. Big, tall, strong woman.
So I could see her as a Terminator. That'd be awesome.
God, it would have been awesome. Yeah. Woman on the right was Linda Hamilton herself, and then a new, maybe 19 or 20-year-old young lady on the left. I'm worried about SJW possible small-time feminist propaganda and just pushing all female leads like they've been doing in a lot of films. And I'm hoping that all the good Terminator tough talk that we're getting from the directors isn't being eclipsed by a decision that we're not seeing to just push feminism in this film as well. There's nothing wrong with feminism.
Now, it's interesting you say that because in that interview they talk about when you see this, they said you'll see that it makes perfect sense how this progresses. He said, that this is the way this went because it needed to, not because some big wig in an office had an agenda they wanted to push. Now, I don't know if they said that to kind of head off the thinking that you're talking about.
Or if it's all legit.
If it is all legit and he's just trying to kind of buffer it already, maybe there is that agenda. We'll have to wait and see.
Exactly.
Now, one of the things that we can say is, first of all, this wouldn't be the first Terminator movie with a female Terminator.
Absolutely not, it won't.
And the Linda Hamilton, Sarah Connor was a strong female lead to begin with, so it's not like they're changing things.
Actually, if you cast the right women and put them in the right light, and don't follow a kind of semi-soft trend that we're getting from female leads, and we stick to the way Terminator shows female leads and the light they show them in, if they just keep that, it could be an entire woman cast, and I won't even bat an eye. Because Terminator has a knack, the director has a knack of putting a woman in a really fierce, raw, naturally aggressive light where you kind of see, wow, that seed in that woman could grow into be a terrifying action lead.
Yeah.
And if they just keep that, they're fine. You can have not one single guy in it, and I'll be fine.
If anything, what we're talking about is anti-sexism, because we're not saying, hey, you shouldn't have all women or you should have at least a guy. What we're saying is the right person for the role should be in the role regardless of whether it's a man or a woman.
Thank you. Exactly. So well said. That's all we want.
And so I think, Gwendolyn Christie would make an awesome Terminator.
Absolutely. When you said that, I was like, whoa, ding, 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 ding. That would have been the best.
But yeah, this will be exciting to see who they cast in the various parts. We already know Linda Hamilton and Arnold are coming in, and they're saying that with this being a trilogy, they're planning for a trilogy, but each movie will stand on its own. And at some point, they said, we're not going to tell you when, but at some point there's going to be a natural progression into kind of passing the mantle over to the new characters. So if they do it right, this could be an amazing, this could be the sci-fi movie of the year, whatever year it comes out. It
could be on a pedestal, which teaches everything else how to do this.
Right.
This could be, because it hasn't been done right. From Star Trek to Star Wars, every reboot, everything they're pushing, besides Marvel, this hasn't been done right at all. This could be the first one to see, look, everyone, this is all that the fans wanted. This is the only formula that really works to sell tickets, so start doing it.
Actually, I'm not going to say it hasn't been done, but and getting back to talking about movies that get killed by marketing, if necessary, I thought the new Blade Runner movie, 2077 or whatever it was called, was phenomenal. Was done right, fit so perfectly in with the Blade Runner thing.
Yes, I take back my statement then.
And it bombed in the box office because they didn't market it properly.
That pisses me off, man. It just proves that if a critic says a movie sucks, you should go see it. It's probably amazing. If a movie didn't make much money, it's because not enough commercials were shown about it. Try to be above that and go trust your gut. And if it interests you, like you read the back of a book, if the plot interests you, you buy it, you read it. if a movie's plot interests you, go watch it. Don't go on Rotten Tomatoes and decide what everyone else says to dictate what you like. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Go out there and support the industry, the actors/directors that you like by spending $8 on a ticket and go see for yourself.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, I
know
think
what Tim Gunn didn't get to make after he had his falling out with Ryan Reynolds. You know what movie he didn't get to make?
Tim Miller, not Tim.
Or to Miller.
Yeah.
He'll never get a chance to make.